Elementary in Uvalde, Texas, joined the ranks of other schools that had already become infamous. Virginia Tech and Sandy Hook Elementary, infamous for the shootings that rocked their campuses. What happened on this day last year now amounts to the deadliest school shooting in U.S. history, right behind the devastating incidents at the other two campuses I just mentioned. What the gunman did would have been agonizing enough, but many of the victims' families have been tortured by what police on scene didn't do that day, allowing the gunman free rein inside their kids' classroom building for 74 minutes. 74. A Texas House committee investigating the response, finding, quote, law enforcement responders failed to adhere to their active shooter training, and they failed to prioritize saving the lives of innocent victims over their own safety. Retired FBI Supervisory Special Agent and certified FBI Crisis Manager Glenn Norling here with me to talk about that part of this tragedy. Glenn, good morning to you.
Good morning. Thank you for having me today.
Yes, you run Train Be Ready Consulting and the Active Shooter Prevention Project. Those were scathing words from that Texas House committee. The person who was finally sorted out as the incident commander on that scene, Uvalde Consolidated Independent School District Police Chief Pete Arredondo, fired because of the orders he did and didn't give that day. Do you have confidence that police departments across the country are reacting to things differently today because of what happened in this case?
I think in all of these incidents, of course, horribly hard lessons learned we find from today. So in law enforcement, of course, we look at ways to train more effectively. And one of the challenges here is you saw that abject failure of command and leadership to take charge of an incident like this. One of his comments was that he didn't feel like he was the incident commander. Well, he's the chief. And so you have one of the things that going forward, we look at these incidents to try and see how we can do better, how we can better train, how we can better prepare not only the officers that are responding, but also the leadership. How do we manage these type of situations? So these are horribly tough lessons learned to go through, but we are changing. You go all the way back to 1999 in Columbine, watershed moment in how police response. And so from there, we've changed significantly. But this incident points out a specific challenge to some of the training we've done in law enforcement. Oftentimes we'll go and we'll do these active shooter training incidents once, maybe twice a year.
Okay.
And what that doesn't do, that doesn't allow the officers to have that repetitive going through and
kind
repeating what do we do. Right,
kind of
exactly. And so you want to have subconscious competence. So when something like this happens, you know exactly what you're doing. Your leadership knows what you're doing and things like that. So we're really trying to look for in law enforcement to try and do smaller training. We don't have to have necessarily the 8-hour training once a year, but if we do once every couple of weeks, we do something once a shift. We do a short discussion of it, things like that.
To keep it more top of mind.
Yeah, okay. Absolutely.
Let me ask you.
Yes.
We know that the gunman in Uvalde was an 18-year-old former student who had seriously wounded his grandmother before heading over to the school, and that he entered Robb Elementary through an unlocked side door. Talk to me about the comprehensive facility security lessons that should be coming out of this situation.
And certainly there's a lot to unpack just in what you've said there. I'll touch first on kind of really what the focus of the Active Shooter Prevention Project that I work with is talking about these warning signs, talking about these indicators, talking about how much time did we have in this particular case when he shot his grandmother to when he actually arrived on scene at the school. He got into a traffic accident before he even got to the school, fired some rounds at that point. There is, when you start talking about facility security, there is absolutely technology in place today that can provide weapons detection. There's obviously gunshot detection as well, but there's things like that. So we should have, well before he even made it onto the campus, been able to identify that there was somebody with a weapon coming onto the campus.
Okay.
Now, one of the challenges you saw there is they would have frequent lockdowns because of different things going around in the community. So you have that a little bit of complacency comes in there, and complacency is very, very dangerous.
Used to that scenario.
Right, right. So you have, from going into, you're expecting the doors to be locked. Their policy was for the doors to be locked,
And that's not
and
what
they weren't,
happened.
or
Yeah.
they weren't working properly. And how do you prioritize those facility improvements and repairs to make sure those things are locked? And so the idea of the comprehensive facility security is you have these overlapping layers of security. It's not just down to one particular thing. It's not down to one door that the lock no longer works. And in this particular case, there was a lot of coverage on it that believed that there's a teacher had propped the door open, and that's believed how he actually got in. Well, that teacher had actually closed the door, but then now there's question as to whether the lock on the door actually even engaged after she had closed the door.
Lots of questions there. Let me ask you before we have to let you go. This terrible situation in Uvalde has been the subject of so much debate over the last year. What part of what happened that day do you think maybe isn't getting the attention that it deserves?
Well, I think we're focusing on the mistakes that law enforcement made there, and that's absolutely appropriate to focus on that. But that does get us back away from what we need to start doing as far as situational awareness, making sure we have a plan if something horrible does happen. So everybody that's listening to this broadcast today, do you have a plan if something bad happens anywhere you are? If not, you need to work on that. So we need to have that situational awareness, that mindset that we may have to contend with something like that, and have that plan in advance. And here we focus on law enforcement. The same lessons are true for law enforcement. Law enforcement needs to have that plan and train to that plan. In this case, that didn't come together, but that's something that we all can work on, regardless of whether we're in law enforcement or not. That's something we all need to improve on.
All righty, Glenn, thank you so much for joining us on what is a very difficult day, obviously, for the families there in Uvalde, Texas. But this was a situation that really did wound the entire country. So your insight is much appreciated.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.